gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's August the 7th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com, joined once again by our managing editor, Matt Shodell, as we discuss the news of the day. And the news of the day today begins with the fact that the Miami Hurricanes are now a week into fall practice. And, we've had a chance to watch a reasonable amount, not as much as we expected to, because Canes Fest was canceled on Sunday. A little bit of a pet peeve of mine, just because was looking forward to seeing all the fans back out at Hard Rock Stadium and seeing everybody have the opportunity to watch a complete practice, which would give us all a lot to talk about, both here and on the message boards at CaneSport.com. But there was a tropical storm brewing out in the Gulf of Mexico, and I'm guessing the Dolphins didn't want to take a chance on their field getting torn up with the NFL season starting, the exhibition season starting next week. So they canceled their fan event, and they, I'm assuming, asked UM to cancel their fan event. And it ended up being a perfect day. The sun was out, plenty of people heading to the beach, and there really were no weather issues on Sunday. But now everyone will just have to make do without a Canes Fest and take our word for what we're seeing, which brings me to my introduction to Shodell here, because I'm going to ask his opinion here first. So we've gotten to see guys enough to make some impressions on some different things and share some opinions with you. Matt, why don't you start out just by your initial thoughts on the start of fall practice here with the Gator game now about little more than 3 weeks away.
All right, I guess we'll stick to football. We won't talk politics. We won't tell stories about my family. We'll just talk about football. So boring. So this is one of the stranger years. You sort of had a sense pretty much every year, at least I did. I know you were always exuberant, over the moon. The team's going to be great every year. I mean, I always, and you've seen it on the show the last few years we've been doing it. I've never said, oh, this team's going to be amazing. This team's great. But they're going to win 10 games. I predicted, I think it was 7 to 8 wins 2 years ago. I predicted 8 wins last year. But I am predicting 10 wins this year. And with that said, I'm not sure if this is a 7-win team or a 12-win team. Like, this is the biggest range of unknown that I think I can remember. And it's because of the transfer portal. I hate the transfer portal. I love it because it's helped Miami quickly potentially be relevant again, like that Michigan State year. Like, this could be the Michigan State year for Miami because they got so many transfer portal guys that could pan out, but at the same time, they might not pan out. A bunch of the portal, we can't talk about injuries. A bunch of the portal guys have been banged up. You really haven't seen them. Messerer's look great, but he's also limited. We can't talk about injuries, although I will say that. So that's unbelievable that he's out for the year. And then, no, I'm just kidding. So none of the injuries appear to be like really serious, which is good for Miami. But for you talk to some people around the team, and like the offense will look good one day, the defense will look good one day, the offense will look good one period, the defense will look good one period. Does that mean that the defense is great? Does that mean that the offense is great? No, it's hard to tell. In the past, you sort of knew what you had because the guys coming back, what the jump you can make from one year to the next is. Like, it's not rocket science, okay? It's not like, you become this all-American football player when the year before you look terrible. Usually you come in, you're really talented, and you keep getting better every year. Like, that's what happens, right? But you don't keep getting astronomically better when you're average. That's not what happens, especially when you know what the coaching staff was before and the situation before. But now it's different, right? Because Miami's brought in a couple of top 10 recruiting classes. Miami's now brought in Cam Ward, Damian Martinez. How many are on the list? Sam Brown, Mish Powell, the 4 or 5, I think 5 transfer portal defensive linemen. guys that we haven't seen at Miami. You could say, oh, look at their Tennessee film. He looks so good at Tennessee. It's a different animal. It's a different system. Like, for instance, C.J. Clark was playing in a 3-man front at NC State. He's playing in a 4-man front at Miami. Will he be able to rush the passer as effectively? I don't know. We'll see. Maybe he will, but it's not like he had a lot of sacks at NC State. He did get pocket pressure, but he was mainly a run stopper. Do they have to pull him out every passing situation? I don't know. That's like a microcosm of the uncertainty of this team. And when I say they could win 7 games, that's not tongue in cheek. Like, if you just look, for instance, at the preseason coaches poll, right? Miami's 19th, and guess what? Miami's been in the top 25 before in the preseason and been just awful, okay, during the regular season. And if you look at it, Florida State is obviously number 10. They don't play Clemson or NC State, which are the only 2 in the top 25. But then you got Louisville, Virginia Tech, Florida, and Syracuse are among others receiving votes. That's 5 teams that are either receiving votes or better that you see on the list that are getting mentioned by the coaches in the coaches poll.
I was shocked they included Florida.
Well, yeah, Florida got 11 votes. So, that's 5 teams that are going to be decent, okay, hypothetically. And if Miami's not decent, if these transfers don't pan out, if they are playing selfish football because they know they're one and done and they need to get the NFL and they're buying into this Mario Cristobal, hey, do it for the team, cheer for your teammates, sit on the sidelines for 70 reps and enjoy it. If they don't like that, I don't know what happens. Like, I don't know where this goes. This is uncharted territory. Miami's never had this many starters that are transfers. Half of the starting lineup is going to be transfers this year. Let that sink in. Half. Cam Ward, Damian Martinez, Zach Carpenter, okay? On defense, 3 starting defensive linemen, all right? Maybe 1 linebacker, and then Mish Powell and De'Ani Hill. I didn't add that all up, but it sounds like about 10, okay? It's about 10.
We get your point.
Yeah. So I know fans are super excited, and this is why I say, I've seen this movie before. This is a different, this is no longer Marvel. This is like a whole different universe because of all the transfer portals. But I've seen those Marvel movies before. I know how they end, and these Marvel movies we've watched for 20 years now end with the good guys dying at the end. Will this be that new universe? I don't know. Pick something that's not Marvel. I only watch Marvel movies. I don't know. Will this be a Star Wars movie? With a happy ending? I don't know. Does Darth Vader die at the end of this movie? I don't know. But, there certainly is talent. And then yesterday you hear Shannon Dawson, bemoaning the play on offense. Well, offense is going to win the 10-plus games. The defense is not going to win 10-plus games. I don't care what people say. If the defense is dominating this fall, normally I'd be very happy.
A lot of new pieces, man. He's integrating a lot of new pieces. And I think that's fostering frustration because it's going to take some time for it to come together. I mean, these kids, they don't know really what they're doing yet, even though it's been a week and they've had the offseason workouts or whatever. But it's not all second nature to them. They're not just cutting it loose. Full speed, and if you're an offense, I imagine that wreaks a little bit of havoc on your rhythm, on your timing, and your execution of plays. And so, yeah, I mean, you guys will see the stories on the website. If you haven't read it yet, you could check it out. But Shannon Dawson was a little frustrated yesterday. It was obvious, the ups and downs of the first week of practice that they've been very transparent about, even on the defensive side of the ball. And we do have a feature with Lance Guidry as well, talking about the defense's progress in the first week. They both basically say the same thing. It's been a lot of up and down, back and forth. There's no pattern to what they're getting out on the field. And, Matt, you talk about the transfer portal, and we've been talking about it the whole offseason. And it's great. Like, you get to bring in these, all these new guys and they're established and all that. But it does come with challenges. You have to integrate them into your program, integrate them into your team, integrate them into your systems. Okay. And the one thing that I worry about is, when you're bringing guys into a system, does the system fit them? And it's a 1-year deal. And if it doesn't, it's a little bit of a recipe for disaster. And that's maybe a little bit of the danger zone that Miami's traveling down here with the extended use of the transfer portal. But it's undeniable that they have elevated the talent of the team, Matt.
Well, yeah, what I was trying to say was normally I'd be super excited if the defense is dominating. Because those of you that are 70 years old and over and remember the good old days, Gary's 93, he remembers clearly. The defense has always been ahead of the offense, right? In the spring and in the fall camp, like the offense could barely run plays. They had to take defensive players off the field just to run plays on offense. So the fact that Shannon, and I don't think Shannon Dawson was making it up either, that the offense is struggling through a week of practice. So the fact, does that mean the defense is that good? I'm not sold on that just because I know the offense should be great, right? You know, Damian Martinez and Cam Ward are great. You know, the offensive line's great. What could be going wrong on offense? What it seems like to me.
Well, for starters, they haven't been in full pads.
Correct.
That offensive line and that running game, you can't really, until they get in full pads and they really start hitting. Like,
that's a fair point, but I'm talking more about the passing game. Okay. The passing game not being on point after all these months of work. I mean, Cam Ward was here in the spring. The only new piece on offense since the spring was Sam Brown. So you would expect the offense to be on point, to be really, really good. They had 15 spring practices. They had all summer, and they come out and lay an egg essentially the first week of practice. Now, does that mean the defense is great? If that's true, then I'm all for it. Because if this defense is great, Miami's not losing a game. Like, just write it down. You know, they may as well not even play. If this is a top 10, even top 20 national defense in total points allowed and total defense, like, they're not losing a game against this schedule, okay? Now, am I sold that that's the case? I think it's more a case of Cam Ward and the receivers and the tight ends just having a disconnect. And maybe it's on a Shannon Dawson, quite honestly. And I think you saw the frustration in Shannon Dawson yesterday. If you watch the video, my personal take on it is that he's teaching. He's a teacher, right? Coaches are teachers. And he's frustrated because he's teaching them and they're not understanding it. If he's teaching them, gives them the what do you call it, a flash quiz? I haven't been in school in 5,000 years. Whatever it is.
It's a
pop quiz. Hey, pop quiz today, guys. You know, I think they would all fail. And that's honestly on Shannon Dawson. If this offense doesn't look good, we know the players are great. Shannon Dawson will have to go. And I think Shannon Dawson is scared to death that this offense won't be great because he knows the pressure is on. He knows that people expect this offense to be the first that scores 35 points a game on average since 2003. And it should. Against this schedule with this caliber players on the offense, they should. So, Shannon Dawson, again, remember, his track record at a major college program as an offensive coordinator, it doesn't exist except for last year, okay? And when you hear Lance Guidry talking about how every player on defense is getting interceptions from the scout team through the first teamers to young guys, that's the offensive quarterbacks throwing interceptions, trying to hit their receivers down the field, okay? You're not getting interceptions on little swing passes. So it sounds to me, reading the tea leaves, that when they're trying to go down the field, they are having a lot of problems. And Shannon Dawson knows this needs to be an explosive offense, knows they have to avoid turnovers. He literally kept saying it yesterday. And it's not, whatever he's preaching to them has not resonated. And they have 3 weeks to get this right. If he's still saying this 2 weeks from now, like, I'm putting my money on the Gators. I don't bet, by the way. You know, my son gets very excited. He does these apps. He's like, I won 34 cents. I'm like, that's great. Roll it over. But yeah, it would not be a good sign. I'm not particularly thrilled that the offense that we know is going to be great isn't doing well just because I don't think the defense is great. Like, I just know the linebackers, okay? I've watched De'Ani Hill. I'm not sold on De'Ani Hill being this amazing guy. Darryl Porter hasn't even locked down a starting spot yet, okay? The only starting guy they've announced so far is Jaden Harris. And he's done nothing in his career. He played last year when Cam Kinchins was out, and he did not look particularly good. He had some bright moments, but he had a lot of busts. And that's the last time we saw him play, okay? So, yeah, I'm concerned. You know me, I'm Debbie Downer. I'm concerned. But like Gary said, wait till the pads come on. Let's see what else we hear out of Coral Gables over the next 2 weeks. Yeah. It's still very early in the fall. Let's not panic, because I'm panicking a little bit. I got to admit it. I'm a little bit of a panicker. That's just my nature.
I'm not passing a lot of judgments at this point. And
well, that's what we're here for, Gary. If you're just here to say nothing, then say nothing. I'm just telling the truth. Like, this is how I feel. I come on the show and I say how I feel. If you don't want to say anything about how you feel, that's your problem. This is just me.
I'm saying how I feel.
You know me, Coach, from here to here to there.
I understand that it's a work in progress, and I understand how difficult it is, as sexy as it is, to bring all this talent in and all these bodies. 40, I think 41's the number, new bodies on the team this year. it comes with challenges. You have to integrate all these guys into your program, and they got to fit your systems. And Cam Ward's come in, he's running Shannon Dawson's offense. Okay, Shannon Dawson's not creating an offense for Cam Ward, and what's going to it better work. Like Matt says, like it better work, and if it doesn't, it's going to be a long season for sure, because this is a team that very justifiably expects to win. And
by the way, I will add, Clayton Tune got Shannon Dawson this job. Like, without Clayton Tune, an NFL level quarterback who happened to go to Houston, like, Shannon Dawson's not at Miami right now. That Houston offense would not have been so sexy. Now, Cam Ward can be Clayton Tune. Like, you say he's not creating his offense for Cam Ward, but that is his offense. Like, his offense is Cam Ward. Now, he doesn't want to run Cam Ward very much. And I actually talked to another reporter the other day about this. As a hypothetical, I said, what if Cam Ward gets hurt, and they go to whoever the next guy is, Reese, Emery. How many games does this team win? And he said 7, maybe 8. That's the difference of Cam Ward. And if Cam Ward is not connecting with his receivers, is not comfortable in this offense for whatever reason, Cam Ward will never say it out loud. Oh, actually, maybe he will. I take that back. Cam Ward says stuff that maybe he shouldn't. But if there's a disconnect in this offense with him, if there's a disconnect with him and Shannon Dawson, the way there was with Tyler and Josh Gaddis, for instance, and all those quarterbacks with Josh Gaddis, which I'm not saying there will be, but if something like that transpires where it's not all on the same page, this will get ugly in a hurry. And we will know in that Florida game. Like this Florida game, I think is the biggest game Miami's had since trying to beat people up in the tunnel in Atlanta.
Notre Dame in 2017.
I think it goes further back than that because nothing happened in 2017. The last time Miami was relevant was 2003, maybe 2004, Well,
they went 10-0 in 2017, and part of that was that big win against Notre Dame at home at night.
Come on, we know it was all a mirage. Even when they were winning, we're like, this is a mirage. This is not the same. This is the most talented team. On paper, based on the transfer portal additions, this is the most talented returning roster of players, wherever they come from, that Miami's had probably since the early 2000s. Like, that's, to me, a fact, and I don't think it's disputable. But now, will it work? Because these guys are all coming in for 1 year. A lot of these starters, those 10 guys I rattled off, they're not here for 3 years. They're not here for 4 years. They're not here to buy into Mario Cristobal's system. They're here to make money for 1 year as a hitman and then get the hell out of here and play in the NFL. Like, that's what they're here for. And even Damian Martinez, who has a year left, has already literally said to everybody, I'm not coming back. I'm going to the NFL after this. This is it. Which means what? He better get 20 carries a game or he's going to be pissed, And no, that's tongue-in-cheek, but like he better produce in this offense. If he doesn't produce in this offense, he's going to be pissed. Like guys that want to go to the NFL that don't produce are going to be pissed, and they better start like being good in practice, scoring points in games, and winning games. Because if any of that doesn't happen, this will go south in a hurry. Like it's just human nature. There's no amount of Mario Cristobal magic potion that he can inject into these guys that will make them like be happy and be good teammates if they lose to Florida and if the offense sucks and is turning the ball over in the red zone again like last year and the fans are booing in game 4 or 5 or whatever, decent opponent comes to town that next game. Like it's not going to happen. So they need to come out of the gate firing on all cylinders. They can't mess around. They got to beat Florida. It doesn't matter if it's by 1 point ugly. You beat Florida and then you're rolling because you've got easy games after that until Virginia Tech. And then you can be, by then I think they'll coalesce fine. But the fact that they're not playing real well right now on offense, and they got a game in 3 weeks on the road with a bunch of new guys at Florida, like that scares the hell out of me. It scares the hell out of me, quite frankly. Like I know all Miami fans want to be like, oh, we're going to kill Florida. Florida sucks. We're only win 5 games, which is true. But like, it's a tight betting line. It's the most important game of Mario Cristobal's career, possibly, except for some of his bowl games, and maybe that sort of thing. But like, this is arguably one of the top 3 or 4 games in Cristobal's career. Would you agree or not? Like this is a defining moment in his tenure. If they beat Florida and get on a roll, everyone will point to that Florida game in this season as being Miami's back because of Mario Cristobal. And if it doesn't happen, then Mario Cristobal is the worst coach. He's a terrible game day coach and all that same crap that messes with recruiting just starts cycling through again and it ruins the freaking program. Like you can't keep having that. At some point it's got to stop and you got to say we're there. Cristobal's got it going in the right direction. And I think this Florida game will be that's the mountain you stand on. Like, that's the mountain you stand on at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it is. It's that big. I can't argue. I do think that you're overreacting a little bit to one.
What? I never overreact. What are you talking about?
Well, you're overreacting to a single press conference by the offensive coordinator who
No, it's more than that. You've heard stuff too, Gary, from the practice field, right?
He was frustrated. They had an uneven.
Have you or have you not heard some stuff from sources at practices that the offense hasn't looked particularly good?
No, because it's the first week of training camp. Why would it be any different?
I literally just said why. They had 50 in spring practices all summer. They should come out looking pretty good, not throwing interceptions and misfiring on all these deep passes.
I don't know.
That's not a good thing to me.
I think you're overreacting to the offensive coordinator being a little frustrated after what clearly was an inconsistent practice, and I hope they don't put him on the shelf now because he was so raw, because he was, and I liked it. I thought it was great. What the heck is that?
What's what?
Oh, something started playing on my computer here.
Oh, I can't even hear it.
No, wait, I'll get rid of it. Jesus, so mad. All right, I'll have to edit that. Wait a minute, 2030. But I hope they don't put him on the shelf now, because he was raw in that press conference. And he was. I mean, he was very honest and about his frustrations. But I wouldn't overreact to anything in the first week. I look for different things. I want to see how the team looks physically. I think they passed.
Oh yeah, that's for sure. Yes,
they look great physically. They clearly have been doing the right things in the off season. You could see, especially to me on the defensive side of the ball, the depth that they've built at the line of scrimmage is really impressive. I mean, they got a lot of big bodies up there. I mean, even guys that were almost like forgotten men, like Anthony Campbell, looks phenomenal. I mean, they've got a lot of guys to work with up front, and that's going to help them a lot. And I think the secondary is obviously everybody's big question mark, and we'll see how they show up in Gainesville. But the team definitely passes the physical look test, and to me, that's the first box, okay, of fall camp that has to be checked. Now they got to polish up their act, and they've got a few weeks to do it. They'll have a couple scrimmages. And if Shannon Dawson is still bemoaning how his unit is playing when we get to like August 23rd or something like that, then we can crank up the Matt Shodell Worry Wart machine.
That's literally what I said. I said if this is another week or two of this, it's a problem. That's literally what I said.
But right now, I'm not freaking out about it. But anyway, so we got the bottom line is we have tons of coverage on the website for you right now. You've got stories with Lance Guidry and Shannon Dawson giving us updates on how the offense and defense is going. We've been rolling out our an Inside the Lines preseason series here, where we've got inside interviews with so many players. You got a feature with Francis Manoa that's on the website. Jacoby George is another one that we've rolled out for you guys, and we've got a lot of these that we're going to be phasing in here over the next couple weeks. Hope you enjoy them. They're like quick hit interviews with some of these players, but you get to know them a little bit better. So make sure that you check that out. Along the same lines, we have an Inside the Lines feature on the website today with new Miami quarterback commit Darian Coleman, as Zuby Charles went one-on-one with Darian. I think you guys are going to enjoy that quite a bit. And then, of course, we've got our usual array of recruiting coverage for you. We got a story with Tampa area running back Javari Barnett from Tampa Carrollwood Day. He's a guy that Miami has put on its radar and is recruiting pretty hard. So we catch up with him and give you an update on that. And then we also have a story with four-star defensive back commit Amari Wallace, who just has had a devastating leg injury that's going to take him out of his season at Miami Central. As far as we know at this point, Miami does plan to honor its commitment to him. They have in the past traditionally not cut guys loose to get hurt. That's kind of like would be a bad precedent, quite honestly, in the recruiting world, because guys some do get hurt, and if you were going to cut them loose, if they did, then why the heck would they commit to you in the first place? So right now we expect Miami to stick with 4-star DB commit Amari Wallace, but he has had his final year of high school taken away with just an absolutely horrible leg injury. So we wish him a very speedy recovery. So that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. We thank you guys so much for starting out your day with us. And we apologize that we haven't been coming to you with the show the last few days. It's just with the cancellations and things like that. It kind of cut into our ability to give you guys a really good opinion and assessment of where things are going in the first week of training camp. Also encourage you guys, if you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please head on over to our website, become a member of our community. We work our butts off every single day to do everything we can to make your fan experience better. If you're on YouTube right now, hit those subscribe and like buttons. It helps us with the algorithms at YouTube in growing our audience. So for Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thanks again for joining us. We'll see you next time, everybody.